Good afternoon, Democrats. Thanks for coming. This is Georgia Deserves Better rally in conjunction with the Democratic Party of Georgia. Okay. The Democratic Party of Georgia is at this moment having a rally here and a rally in Atlanta. And the reason we're having a rally here is because Atlanta is very far from here, and there are Democrats all across South Georgia. So Democrats in South Georgia deserve better as much as Democrats anywhere else in the state. This is a presidential election year, and that means there's a lot of important things that we'll be voting for. Oh, I should back up. My name's Gretchen Quarterman. I'm the chairman of the Democratic Party here in Lowndes County. We meet on the first Monday of each month, just around the corner at Bob Blue. If you haven't been to a meeting, I invite you to come. So, let me tell you a little bit about voters in Georgia. Georgia ranks 49th in voter registration. That means Georgia ranks number 2 in voter suppression. According to the 2010 census, there were 853,689 Hispanic residents in Georgia. 634,000 of those were over the age of 18. Only 85,000 of those were registered to vote. That means 549,000 Hispanics in Georgia are not registered to vote. We have a gigantic voter registration opportunity with Hispanics. In African American voters, there are 1,288,000 that are considered active voters. But there are 2,900,000 African Americans of voting age in Georgia. This means that nearly 1/3 of the African Americans that live in Georgia are not registered to vote. We have our work cut out for us in terms of registering voters. We'll have regular voter registration campaigns throughout the spring, summer, and fall to make sure that all of the voters in our area are registered to vote. Georgia Democrats are committed to registering voters, making sure that they're educated about how to vote, whether they need to vote with an absentee ballot at home or if they need to be carried to the polls. And Georgia deserves better, and a fundamental way for us to get that is to make sure that all of our voters are registered. Tony Daniels, can you come tell us why you think Georgia deserves better?
We deserve better because we're the state of Georgia. We're the #1 state in the nation. We're folks that are hard-working. We're a blue-collar town. We're a blue-collar state. And that we don't need nobody on the right. Somebody need to tell me how the Republican Party got on the right. Amen. They are the far left and should be on fighting off somewhere. But we have a president that's trying to work for the greater good of the American peoples. What we need to do, get out, get the folks out to register to vote in this upcoming presidential election. This is vital. This is needed. President Barack Obama, he's a man for everybody. Not only he's for the poor, but he's for those that make a lot of money. If you do not make $100,000 to $200,000 a year, the Republican Party do not consider you. They don't care if you're white. They don't care if you're black. They don't care if you're red, yellow, polka dot. If you're not making 6-digit figures, the Republican Party will not talk your talk.
That's right.
This is a party of dissension. This is a party of skullduggery tactics. This is a party of not wanting unions in America. This is a party do not want you to be represented.
Georgia deserves
Right.
better.
Georgia deserves
Better.
Georgia deserves all Democrat in the state house.
Better.
Georgia deserves all Democrat at City Hall.
Yeah.
Georgia deserves all Democrat Lowndes County Commission. We got to speak true to power. And what it is today is we are living in a time of a great dilemma. We're living in a time that I gotta talk about the Republican Party. I know that Georgia deserves better. We deserve better. But it's a sad case in our democracy when we let somebody run for the president of the United States have almost been impeached in his position. I'm not talking about Newt Gingrich, but I'm talking about Newt Gingrich.
Yes.
It's a sad time in America, but it also can be the best of time. Those that are laboring, those that are working, those that desire to work, and those that are for the man that living in the White House go by the name of the President Barack Obama.
Yep.
How can we not be for our president? He's for the peoples.
Right.
Amen.
Amen.
He experienced what me and you experienced. So let's get with our president. Let's get with our president. And let's vote all these Republicans out of office at the State House. Let's vote all these Republicans out of office at City Hall. They're not for us. And let's be for each other. And let's talk to each other. And let's be united together. And together we stand, divided we fall.
Thank you very much. Tony's exactly right. We need to replace the people who are in the Georgia State House. We had some people run, and they ran with a D behind their name, and then they said, nah, I fooled you. We're not really D behind our name, we're R behind our name. So we need to have some folks who think that Georgia deserves better and are interested in running for the State House to replace Ellis Black, Amy Carter, Tim Golden, Jason Shaw. They all got to go.
Yep.
We got to have people that are interested in getting rid of my friend and yours, Jack Kingston. Goodbye, Jack. And Austin Scott. They do not represent the interests of regular working people in South Georgia. Regular working people are people like my friend Joe Weber. Regular working people are people like my friend Laverne Gaskins. Regular working people are people like my friend Tina Matchett. Joe, would you come talk to us about working people?
Thank you, Gretchen. My name's Joe Weber. Georgia workers deserve better. Georgia has lost more than 300,000 jobs, third highest in the nation since the beginning of the Great Recession. Georgia has one of the highest rates of bankruptcy filings and foreclosure rates. According to the U.S. Census, Georgia has the third highest poverty rate in every single month for more than 4 years. Georgia's unemployment rate has exceeded the national average. The state agricultural industry reports that Georgia's economy will shrink by nearly $400 million. That's $500 million. And lose over 3,000 jobs as a result of the harsh immigration policy passed by who?
The Republicans!
Oh, yeah. State Democrats launched Georgia Works, an innovative program that put thousands of unemployed workers into jobs and has been considered as a model for a national program. Georgia Democrats fight for flexible work policies like paid sick leave so working women and men do not have to choose between their jobs and meeting the needs of their families. Georgia Democrats are committed to creating jobs and economic opportunities for families in Georgia and to restoring fairness in the tax code at federal and state levels. Thank you.
All right, yeah.
Joe is a retired electrical worker. Is that right?
Yeah.
Electrician.
Electrical work.
Electrical worker.
Yeah.
Jane Osborne's going to talk to us a little bit about, lots of things that are wrong in Georgia and things that we could do better.
I'm Jane Osborne. I've been a social worker in Georgia since 1986 and several years in a couple of other states. What I'm going to talk to you about are three things that might not seem to be intertwined, but they are. Most recently, for this particular issue, is Penny Houston and her friends introducing a bill to start requiring drug testing for anyone who wants to apply for food stamps. Florida has already shown what a disaster that is.
Yes.
And they have disregarded the fact that studies show that folks who are on any kind of assistance have a drug rate of about 2.3 among them, while the general population has a drug rate of about 8 point something. The other thing they've neglected to figure out is where is all this alleged treatment going to come from, as we're in the middle of a Department of Justice issue that's already said our mental health system is broken beyond repair. What they're suggesting is that if you are found to have drugs in your system, you will be recommended to a treatment center, not paid for, not referred, not supplied, that are going to be local churches and so forth. Any of y'all know a local church here that's doing drug treatment? I don't think so. Intertwined in all of that is the whole issue of how our mental health problems are getting worse. We hired somebody from Virginia, who still lives in Virginia, to run the system. He is not making available more funding for people who are in communities and need a place to have treatment. The system we have already has people being released. No more people with developmental disabilities will be taken into institutions, which is a good thing. But we did that without planning for where they will go. Our own organization in this area, LARC, has lost a third of its funding. And what they tell them is they would like all the people who work at LARC to have a job out in the community, that's their goal. It's an excellent goal, but you can't take 60 or 80 people and spread them into special needs jobs that quickly. But they take the funding and let you figure it out later. Intertwined with this is a huge criminalization of the mentally ill in this state. If a 1013 is filed against you, the technical term for what can allow you to be picked up and transported somewhere for assessment, all of your transporting, all of your interactions will be with a law enforcement officer. You're not guilty of anything. You're not even accused of any crime. And I'm not saying that that's even who ought to be doing it, because it's taking a huge toll on time and gasoline for our officers to have to transport people to the opportunities for treatment that are now farther and farther away. So it's a double whammy. It's hurting our police officers. They're not here to do what they need to do in this area, and they are further aggravating people who are already in some sort of crisis. So on top of that, as you may know, Jack Kingston has filed a law to change the federal law, saying that everyone must be tested before they get food stamps. Again, who's going to pay for that? Where is that money coming from? All that Florida accomplished was over a third of the people who used to be on food stamps didn't apply last year. And apparently that was their goal. Just don't have people apply. Georgia is, as it was in so many other areas, at the very bottom of the states for the number of people eligible for food stamps who actually get them. Goes right along with the TANF dollars that have been cut out of this state. Temporary assistance to needy families is virtually unavailable. But that's by design. I encourage you to talk to the legislators we have until such time as we can replace them. Tell them the stories that you know, the people that you know who are affected by these issues. Talk to people in law enforcement. Ask them how they like driving 8 hours when they could be doing their regular jobs. Talk to South Georgia Medical Center and ask if they have adequate facilities to hold people for hours and hours who really should be in treatment. With no mention in the governor's State of the State address about the federal government being involved in our mental health system, he did, of course, say he wanted $35 million for prison beds. A third of that in the mental health system would get away from the need to have that many prison beds, because we are one of the largest prisons organizations with the largest number of mental health patients. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
We're going to segue to prisons. John Quarterman, could you talk to us briefly about prisons? Georgia deserves better than what we have in terms of our prison system. And I read an article recently about the aging population of the inmates in the prison system, and we should not be incarcerating as many people as we are.
I'll use an example right here in Lowndes County. Some of you have seen this sign before, but most people don't know.
No warrant.
Most people don't know that the Industrial Authority wants to put a private prison right here in Lowndes County. How many of you knew that? Maybe a quarter of you. Because they don't talk about it anymore. They don't even mention it in their board meetings. It's not on the agenda. They don't say anything about it. But we're talking about a major facility run by Corrections Corporation of America. The reason is the usual is supposed to promote jobs. But there was a study done in New York State for rural counties that had private prisons and rural counties that did not. And in good times, bad times, times of recovery, unemployment was slightly higher in the counties that had private prisons. So they don't bring jobs. They do bring risk to the prisoners and risks of escape, because private prison companies cut corners by having fewer guards per prisoner, making it more risky. There's all sorts of other reasons for why a private prison is a bad idea. Instead, I think Georgia deserves better. I think that instead of a private prison, why don't we put a big solar plant? We got a little one already.
Yep.
Solar right here in Lowndes County. And if Dublin, Georgia can get both a solar manufacturer and now a car parts manufacturer, why can't we do that right here in Lowndes County? Georgia deserves better. So if you agree as I do that we don't need a private prison in Lowndes County, Georgia, I got a petition you can sign. And it is the policy of the state departments of corrections to privatize as many prisons as possible. That's a bad idea. We need Democrats elected who will change that. Georgia deserves better.
Thank you.
Georgia does deserve better. We deserve better on a variety of fronts. We're lucky that we have one of the Democratic Party of Georgia's state officers. Laverne Gaskins is the secretary of the Democratic Party of Georgia. She's going to speak to us about why Georgia deserves better.
Thank you, Gretchen. I tell you, this is a really smart move on the part of Gretchen to have this rally here, don't you think?
Yes.
As opposed to driving all the way to Atlanta, Georgia. Georgia deserves better, and I think this is a wonderful day because Democrats have gathered. This past Tuesday, President Obama assured us that under his blueprint for the future of America, even better and brighter days are ahead. Wouldn't you agree? His message was promising to us because Georgia does deserve better. We deserve a strong economy that can be strengthened if we stem the tide of outsourcing and give tax credits to companies that create jobs here in Georgia. We Democrats know that our economy is strongest when we value the contributions of all workers, and that includes management and labor. Georgia deserves a strong system of education and an educated workforce. We Democrats, we understand the value of education. We understand the equalizing effect of education and how it can serve as a vehicle for upward mobility. Georgia deserves a strong system of education that prepares our workers to compete successfully in a global society. However, Georgia will not progress in an environment where few are heard. And with Republicans, we know they only give voice to the few. Rather, Georgia's strength is in our ability to value and support the power of diversity. And in the interest of progress, Georgia deserves an environment where all voices are heard. I'm talking about the poor, the middle class, rural Georgia, urban Georgia, the disabled, North Georgia, and South Georgia. Because Georgia deserves better, we should vote Democrat, and let's get to work and turn this state blue.
I'm all about that. Did I see Bill Branham in the group? Did you want to talk to us about some solar things? Thank you, sir.
My name is Bill Branham. I'm the founder of 21st Century Telecommunications. We've started working with the post office on the project. Georgia is going to get better, and we're also working with the University of Delaware. I have had a problem here locally, and I just got to talk about it. We've tried to work with VSU on the project and to create jobs, and when I talk to them about it, and they don't want to do it, and I wish they would, because we would be creating 200 jobs here. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Georgia deserves better.
Georgia deserves better.
Deserves better.
When the president gave his speech the other night, he talked about companies working with local community colleges and universities to create jobs, to train workers for the jobs that they have available. The kinds of things that Bill is talking about, where he has a company that wants to start some new initiatives in terms of solar energy, clean manufacturing jobs, clean installation jobs, and yet we can't seem to get all the pieces working together. Georgia does deserve better. We need to get on the work and bang. Okay.